And welcome back to the World Football Show here on Sports Tonight Live. And now we're on to Serie A. And of course, I'm really happy and everyone's looking at me because Juventus won. And they're still 1 point clear ahead of Milan after Milan dropped points over the weekend against Fiorentina, which was a really unlikely source considering how Delio Rossi and his men are doing very badly over there. What do you think? You think this is you said it from the start that Juventus would be winning. Do you still think that's the case?
Yeah, absolutely. And now they even started scoring. I mean, they had trouble scoring for a long time.
Well, they're still having trouble finishing.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, they're the hardest working team. We knew that throughout the season. I just think that it's right in the end that the hardest working team will actually win you the league, because you cannot always rely on individual flashes of brilliance the way that Milan have done throughout this whole season. The better collective approach will out, and now that Juventus have managed to add a few goals from midfield, because up front, let's face it, they're still not very exciting. Yeah. They've got enough of it. You know, they've got what it takes to win this league.
Well, you see, this is the thing. You say that you can't rely on individual brilliance. Now they took on Chievo midweek on Tuesday night. They were in my opinion, absolutely appalling. Chievo, they pressed quite high up from the midfield, exploited their fast-paced strikers. The problem with Chievo is they have the third worst attack in Serie A. And yet they still lost because you just needed that moment of individual brilliance. You know, whenever Milan had the ball, which was not very much, they were still looking dangerous. It looks to me like they can still resolve these things that Juventus can't. Yesterday against Lazio, they were pushing and pushing, and they created so many goal-scoring chances in the first half. They were working so hard, but no one would finish at the top. And it looked like it was going to be a draw. And then one moment of madness at the back meant that Mauri had a free header, 1-1, and you needed Del Piero, still need the captain, who 700 games for Serie A, amazing for him, to actually resolve the case.
But that's why these moments of madness happen, because they grind opposition teams down. Teams start making mistakes because they have such a hard time winning the ball back off them. They never get any moment of rest. Lots of teams who aren't that very good manage to rest on the ball, and that helps them to overcome the inferior nature of the quality, because while they're keeping the ball, the others can't hurt them. And even in Italy, possession has become a big weapon for these
not for
smaller
Roma,
teams.
But yes.
No, not for Roma. Well, they're not a small team to begin with, but
not big at the
smaller teams have been able to punch slightly above their weight if they utilize the ball well. But Juventus don't allow teams to do that. I mean, they're a team that don't play Italian football in a way, because they play with high energy. They play almost like an Italian version of Dortmund, and you could see that takes you a long way domestically. I think, ironically enough, in Europe, where Italian teams for so long have been sort of the measure of everything with the way they control games, I think that high energy attitude needs to be modified a little bit, because teams just won't be overrun, won't be overawed. They'll keep the ball, and Juventus will tire. But I think it was a great example, this game, that shows you that the effort, more often than enough, will pay off.
Well, you say that about Europe, but then also what seems to be is that when Juventus face the big teams like the Lazios, the Milans, the Napolis, they do better because these teams let them play football. It's when they suffer against the likes
I wouldn't agree that they do better. I think actually they do worse against these teams.
Really, they keep drawing against all the smaller sides, but they keep winning against the big ones.
But I think really, if you probably look at where the title race has changed over the season, it was maybe the second leg of the Coppa Italia game that changes that, and Vucinic's goal against Milan maybe gave them the belief to go on. So perhaps that was a turning point. But I think another interesting thing about Juventus, a lot of people said at the start of the season they haven't got the squad to see this through. Their first 11's okay, but maybe it's because they haven't had to play in Europe, but they have got more options than people think, and Del Piero is part of that.
They do have more options, but they are very reliant on their midfield, and you could tell that yesterday in the game against Lazio. It's a case of, you need Vidal to run up and down that pitch, and he's just great at pressing the ball, maintaining a high position when they're defending, also coming back to help defend deep if they need to do so. But still they just don't have that striker, and that's what's missing. If they had someone like an Higuain or an Ibra or a God, anyone at the moment, you know.
But if you want to talk about dependence, that's what Ibrahimovic is all about. And that's exactly what was the case with Inter.
Do you think that's what it is? Do you think wherever Ibra goes, he's got to be the only guy that really knows how to play the game?
Perhaps that's it. I think there's such a temptation to use him as a get-out. And funnily enough, that's what Barcelona never really did. You know, that they were never happy to, really what they should have done when they wanted to use him as a plan B. It had to be Piqué's long ball to search out Ibrahimovic. A couple of times they did try that against Sevilla in the Cup, against Arsenal in the Champions League. It worked perfectly well, but it was something they never really felt comfortable with doing. Inter and Milan have never had that problem with using him that way.
And not having that dominant striker can also be a virtue, because if you put now Ibrahimovic in this Juventus team, I guarantee you everything would fall apart, because you have a hard-working team and a guy who perhaps doesn't look hard-working, to put it charitably. It would be a disaster.
But what if they had someone like an Higuain or a Lewandowski?
I think, well, Lewandowski would be brilliant for them. I mean, again, you know, Dortmund,
exactly the same type of
Juventus. But you know, maybe they'll add someone in the summer. They definitely need someone as far as the Champions League is concerned.
Yeah, they definitely do, because they can't rely on Matri. And of course, Del Piero, who needs to always resolve these matches, comes on as a substitute and scored. Grande Capitano. Hello, we've got Tancredi Palmeri from Milan. How are you, Tank?
Buongiorno ragazzi. I heard you were talking about some new players, Alex.
Yeah, well, we were talking about the fact that Juventus desperately need a striker. What did you think of their match against Lazio? Worthy winners and possible title winners?
Well, actually, that game seems so much the symbol of all the Juventus season. As you said, missing so much a resolver, someone that could convert all the options, all the chances they had along the game. So much missing, I guess, that 12, 15 millions that they couldn't afford of euros, that they couldn't afford past summer to get at Giuseppe Rossi or at Agüero. Definitely, I think that they don't have to waste money with other good players, but not big ones. They need one Higuain, one Agüero, someone like that, someone that can convert, because next year, also with Champions League, I don't know how much the Conte's team could, put all this effort on any game, any Sunday.
Yeah, well, okay, I agree with that. But also I want to talk about Inter and Stramaccioni, because I thought that was a splendid second half by Inter. You know how I feel about him, although you said it was way too early for him to love him. But I noticed him from before when Arrigo Sacchi wanted him to be the under-17 coach for Italy. He is a special talent, and you could see his players actually celebrating with him when they're doing well. They come to the sidelines. He's very much part of that. Do you think, and I finally saw a second half that was worthy of Stramaccioni, could this be someone that might last more than just an interim, that might be more than just an interim coach?
Well, that, guys, he's bringing a lot of enthusiasm, let's face it. And Inter needed enthusiasm, not only because they were just with Ranieri, for Ranieri himself, but I mean for the situation, how it was going. But still, they will not just stick to enthusiasm. Result will make the thing. If Inter will clinch the third spot, Stramaccioni will stay. He's a good prospect, but there is not time. Never there was time to build things in Inter and to project that. So Stramaccioni needs desperately to clinch the third spot to stay at Inter. For what is going on, for what the situation is, the way the others are behaving, he has still some possibilities, because Lazio losing again, Udinese losing again, Napoli 1-3 at home against Atalanta. So it seems that everyone wants to help the rookie. My opinion still is that if I compare all the calendars, all the match days that are waiting for Lazio, Udinese, Roma, Napoli and Inter, and by gap there is a difference between the calendar of the others and the Inter ones. Inter has to play with Udinese, Inter has to play home against Fiorentina, and will not be easy at all, because this Fiorentina is just 3 points ahead of Serie B. Inter will have the derby at the second last game. So in my opinion, I go with the fact that there is no chance for Inter. I know it's just there are 6 points from the third place, but it's just too difficult. And as you said, yeah, okay, it's true. There is a team spirit, but still, how much is conceding the Inter defense. And there is one thing, one breaking news of this morning, Walter Samuel will be out for the next 21 days, and that means a lot for
It
Inter,
does.
really a lot.
Tancredi, what about our good old friend Mario Balotelli? Does he have an option? Does he have two options? Does he have any options to come back to Serie A? Because I think there is now a point reached where both Mancini and perhaps the Premier League on the whole have really had enough of him.
Okay, I'll give you a very late update about that. Half an hour ago, Mino Raiola, his unfamous agent, spoke to Italian Sky and said that actually Manchester City, okay, these are Raiola's words, so take it as Raiola's words. But anyway, he said that Manchester City don't have the intention to sell Balotelli. He said that Mario he is missing Italy, but in this moment not missing that much Italian football, that will be back in Italy, but this is not the right moment. These are the words of Raiola. My opinion, and that is connected with some unofficial sources I have, is that 51% will depend on how, of course, the league will finish. So if City will win the title or not, if winning title or not will determine Mancini's future. All in all, with all the critics that Mancini is giving, anyway, he would also prefer to keep Balotelli instead of selling him. The thing is that Inter, as you asked, has an option to sign Balotelli. Yesterday, before the game, Inter's president Massimo Moratti ruled it out. Said our story with Balotelli is finished, even if we have still sympathy each other. But anyway, we ran already our way. That are just words. Maybe it just could be pre-game, you know. But anyway, the thing is that Raiola, is the Balotelli's agent, is so close to the AC Milan management.
Exactly.
He's almost the unofficial right hand of Galliani.
But this is Galliani's specialty. He knows how to take players that are suffering in other teams, and other teams want to get rid of them. This is Galliani's speciality. He takes them like he took Robinho, like he took Ibra. So if there's any likely destination, I would think it's Milan. Not that I ever believe Massimo Moratti, because for me he seems to have no authority in the Inter dressing room, like Gasparini used to say. He doesn't really decide what's happening. Branca did, and Branca didn't really shut the door on Balotelli coming.
Yeah, but Mina, as you said Galliani's specialty. Galliani's specialty when he's cooking that with Raiola, because Ibrahimovic, Raiola brought to Milan. Robinho, Raiola did it. Van Bommel, the same. Tevez, even if he was not the agent of Tevez, but anyway, Raiola was playing as the middleman between Kia Joorabchian and Galliani. So, in my opinion, if Balotelli would be back, I would bet my money on Milan, honestly.
Okay, also I wanted to touch quickly on Javier Zanetti equaling Zob's record of 570 matches in Serie A. I believe only Maldini and Pagliuca did better or played more. A great symbol of Inter, and he keeps going. How much longer will he stay?
Well, the easiest answer would be until his muscle just don't blow out. But I think that still in his possibilities there is at least 1 year more, if not 2. Because the thing that I have to admit, honestly, until 3 years ago, I was not so enthusiastic anymore about his performance. But since Mourinho came to Milan, his level of his bar, I mean, this year, he has been one of the better for performances, for level, for intensity in Inter. You could also critique that probably that wasn't that difficult if you would be against Inter. But anyway, it's for sure in the top 3 for what has been his performance this season. And honestly, if he keeps going in this way, there is no limit still set up for him. I believe until this point, he's already the foreigner that played the most games in Italian league. I believe that at least he got a target to take over the Maldini's record, and that would mean play 2 leagues more.
Okay, thank you so much, Tancredi. I believe we'll actually be seeing you next week.
I'll see you on Monday. It will be a big party. Bye, guys.
Perfect. Bye. Of course, that's it. Napoli also third defeat, conceding 3 goals again for the third time. You saw them not doing very well. Wheels are falling off. But after the break, we'll be leaving Europe and we'll be looking at leagues from across the world, one in particular. So we'll see you in a bit.